Well, here's a question for the adults in the room. Do you think the education you received when you were in school would be good enough for the jobs in the workforce of the future? Reading, writing, arithmetic, a good start, but students today need a whole different set of skills to be competitive. And that brings us to the Common Core. And it is here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools already. Here to give us some clarification, help us out in understanding all of this is Becky Graff. She's the Director of Humanities for CMS. Ms. Graff, my first question, I guess, what is different about the Common Core versus what we had previously?
One thing about the Common Core, it's a set of standards that are universal in the United States. And so they've been, a group of states got together with the Governors Association, and they decided that they wanted to level the playing field so that what students have to learn is the same no matter what your zip code. And so we've got a set of standards and a set of benchmarks that start at kindergarten and grow step by step all the way through 12th grade to prepare our students for the workforce and the world outside of school, including college and whatever steps they might want to take after they graduate.
Now, I know a lot of states have adopted this. So in a scenario, if a parent moves from, I don't know, Georgia to South Carolina, their child is in the 8th grade, they would essentially be doing the same type of schoolwork that they did previously in Georgia that they would be doing here now.
They might not be doing the same type of schoolwork, but they would be using the same standards. And so what one child in Georgia or in Washington or in California or here in North Carolina has to learn in 8th grade is exactly the same. The curriculum itself is controlled at the local level. So how we reach those standards, we have a lot of flexibility. We can do things the way that we want to here in Charlotte, but we still have to meet the same standards that somebody in Singapore or in California would have to meet.
How does that benefit learning?
It makes what a child has to learn the same, so that we know that an A in Texas means the same thing as an A in New York City means the same thing as an A in Charlotte. And I think that's really helpful for businesses and for colleges when they're looking to their students after graduation.
Now, is this a different way, I'll ask Dr. Morrison, a different way of teaching? How are teachers being prepared for this, professional development, and how do parents, I'll come back to you in a moment, but how do teachers get ready for all of this? And it's happening now, so it is in the school.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, let's just be clear that these are the most rigorous standards that have ever been introduced in our country. They have been developed with business, college career readiness focus. And so it's going to be higher standards, higher rigor for our students. But I'm a big believer, as I know our teachers are, that a rising tide lifts all ships. And so our students deserve a higher level of rigor with their standards, and we're going to have to teach to those standards. And so I think there's going to be challenges. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for our teachers to bring new creativity, new thinking, and infusion of technology. But we've got to respect our teachers enough to give them quality, job-embedded professional development to help build the repertoire to teach to the Common Core.
Let me get you to clarify something. When people hear rigor, especially when parents, students hear rigor, oh, this means 4 or 5 hours of homework, I'm not going to be able to do after-school activities. When we say rigor, what are we talking about? More work in the classroom and at home, complex text, or what?
Rigor isn't more, okay? Rigor is achievement at a higher level. It's stressing things that truly get our students to college and highly skilled career standards. What I always say is, when you started off the questions about, we're still going to be teaching math and language arts, that is not going away. But if you remember back in the day when you were introduced to the Pythagorean theorem, so you learned the Pythagorean theorem, you did a few practice questions, you either got them right or you didn't do well on the test. But did you really delve into what is the Pythagorean theorem? How would you use it? Can you explain why it's important? Can
Making
you
it practical?
Exactly. And so that's really with the Common Core. We're going to challenge our students not just to do the math, but to be able to explain how they got the answer. What's the practical application? Those job-embedded skills that we know are going to be important for the 21st century. Collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking. Those are all things that are going to have to be essential in a 21st century classroom. And so that's the challenge and the opportunity for our students and our staff for the Common Core.
And Becky, is this more of not just memorizing but actually, as Dr. Morrison says, thinking and applying what you've learned to more than just the four walls of the school.
Very much so. A big part of the Common Core, both in English language arts and literacy and in mathematics, is that we have to be able to research. There isn't just one way to solve a problem. As
Right.
Dr. Morrison said, we don't fill out a worksheet with a lot of right answers. You look at the information explosion in technology. We need to teach our children how to look at lots and lots of different sources and then decide
Right.
which ones are credible, which ones are the most relevant, which ones will give me the information that I need to solve the problems that I'm facing. And so they have to be able to research and then analyze a lot of different sources. So the change in how we approach text and how we approach problem solving is very, very different.
Let me ask you this, because we all know as adults that life is not always the multiple choice question, which is
Very much
commonly
so.
on the end of grade tests. How will testing be different? I already know that some tests, math as well as language arts, are now using open-ended questions where there's no opportunity here to bubble. You have to explain yourself.
Very
Talk about
much
the
so.
testing that's coming.
The big change that I see when I look at the prototypes that are out and the field test items, students are going to have to base their answers in the text that they're reading. And so they'll have a big piece of text to read. They might have a video that they have to watch. They might have a second article. So they've got three different sources, and they have to be able to combine those and complete their answer based on the three different texts that they're reading, rather than just one short passage and answer 5 multiple choice test questions.
But another huge thing that's going to be different is that with the Common Core standards, all the different states using the Common Core have 2 different consortiums that are creating the assessments.
Okay.
We are part of the Smarter Balance Assessment Group consortium, and so the tests will be all online. And so we've got to get ready in all of our schools for our students to be able to take these assessments online. So that means we've got to get the infrastructure in place for online testing, be able to have enough devices for students to take the test so that we're not just testing the entire 4th quarter. And we also have to get the technology in the hands of our teachers so that they feel comfortable using the technology, not just for assessment purposes, but for instructional purposes.
That's a lot of work to have.
A lot of work to have.
Parents hear rigor, they hear Common Core, new standards, changes in testing. Could you quickly give us maybe 3 tips that parents could do to help at home?
Sure. One thing that they need to be doing, we need to be reading more and more and more at home.
Nonfiction.
And very much an increase
Complex
in
text.
very much an increase in informational text that we're reading things other than just stories and novels. I would also say the increase in text complexity makes a big difference as well. The other thing that parents can do at home, instead of looking for schoolwork to be the same as what we might have experienced when we were students, we're not going to see worksheets come home or answering questions in the back of the book. Students are going to be having to look up information. They're going to have to analyze text. So watch for different kinds of homework coming home.
Parents, flip the script. Remember
Yes.
when you're little and your son or daughter always goes, why?
Yes.
Well, now flip the script, because when they're giving you the
Why?
answer, why? Why is that the answer? Are you sure? Why is there not a
And
better
prove
answer?
it.
Yeah,
Prove
and
it.
so just flip the script.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll talk more about this for sure. Thanks a lot for
Thank
joining
you.
us today. More insight to come when we ask the superintendent about his plans to pay for the upcoming school year. It is time to talk money right after the break.